see that live thing? Well, we've only got one goal, so I'm going to have to hold this note for the whole game. Hello, folks, and welcome to We The Peeps. This is, of course, the American soccer podcast in which you are going to get to know everything that you need to know about the USMNT. I'm Clayton, and I'm an artist.
I'm Ty, I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh, baby. And we love the gnats.
Yes, we do.
These are the gnats.
Get in here, boys.
Insert here. And insert. Whew. Woof. Woof. Woof.
Ah. Hey,
Hey, that was a spicy meatball. Time to exhale. It was a moderately spicy meatball. It was like a 7 out of 10 spiciness. The US just played Canada. We're coming fresh
white people
off
spicy.
It. That was white people spicy.
It's not Korean spicy.
That was the Northern Rivalry. The Northern Rivalry, USA versus Canada. What is the other alternative, might I ask, to you promoters for Northern Rivalry in CONCACAF? Is it possible for US and Canada to not be the Northern Rivalry? Because
is that the stated term?
Yes. This is
US-Mexico not a northern rivalry as well? Or I guess it's our northern
That's the
rivalry.
central.
Is that what they're saying?
I guess it's north to us. I don't know, dog. I don't fucking know. But it was USA versus Canada, and we won. We won 1-0 in this must-win game, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Must win.
I suppose.
God forbid we have to play the
forbid.
team we're likely to play in the final if we succeed in this tournament.
And also, if Mexico loses, we sure hope that we won this game, don't we? It doesn't make any sense to me. We'll get into all
There's
of it.
no such thing as a must win when you've already qualified for the group stage. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
I'll let you do your role on the show.
I think, Ty, you said it so clearly. That's not what a must win is. That is not what a must win is. Okay, but first up, as always, we got to do some quick housekeeping. So follow us on Twitter at WTPPod throughout the week. Hit us up on Patreon. That's patreon.com/WTPPod. That's really important because this show takes many hours and, a small amount of stress on our actual lives. It is not free to do this. There is actual overhead that we have yet to cover with the Patreon. So please help us out on there. It's $5 a month. It makes a huge difference. You'll probably forget completely that you did it. And we won't. I assure you, we will not. It makes a huge difference. $5 a month, you become a ratified peep. And you support this show as well as soccer culture at large. So do that. And hit us up on YouTube. We're always on YouTube during the games. You can find us, I guess it's YouTube/WTPPod. Yes?
Unfortunately, it is more complicated than that. But if you go there and you search for We The Peeps in your little searchy box, you will find us.
Okay. Searchy box, We The Peeps. And hang out with us live on YouTube during the games, after the games. Right now, we're live on YouTube with some of you folks. And it's a pretty good time. It is a new thing in our lives, makes us feel more connected to you. You can see what our faces look like, which is really important because how else are you ever going to recognize us on the pickup soccer fields? You know what I'm saying? You won't know that it's us.
Airport.
Unless you check out the YouTube stream.
Prison.
The airport and prison, all these places where you're going to want to know what
we're gonna come across.
You're gonna want to know. End of housekeeping. Okay. The game was USA versus Canada. There's only one way to get this going, and that's to do line them up, boys. I've got 2 baseball gloves here. One of them's for the
lefty
left
glove
and a righty glove. And guess what? They're both for you, Matt Turner. You get out there. Keep a crouch stance. Be ready. Matt Turner in goal. In the back, we're going to have Sam Vines, Miles Robertman.
Vam Signs.
Okay, Pam Lines.
Miles Robertman.
We have Van Symes, Miles Robertson, Runner Zimmerman,
Miles Bridgerton.
Shaq West, Miles Bridgerton.
He's very rakish.
We're gonna have David Sarakin Sands, Lucas Busio, Sebi Salazar,
Lucas Busio,
Sebi Salazar Leggett, Kellen Acosta, you know him, you love him.
Pookie
and
Baby.
And then we're gonna have the double nines, son. 2 up front. Could not decide. GGG just could not decide.
So many G's, so many strikers.
DK and Giassi Zardes. Folks, this game recap could be told in about as long as it took for this game to be decided, which is under 30 seconds. Got a goal in the very first play of this game, I think.
And that's the end of the recap.
And we're there. All right. Recap finished. It was a Shaq Moore goal, which is really cool. And it came through Leggett, which we also love. These are things that we love. Nice goal to get us started. Let's see. What else happened? Tajon Buchanan tried really hard throughout this game.
Wicked good.
He was wicked good. He looks Europe ready. There was a Reggie Cannon, the soccer player formerly known as Reggie Cannon. There was a Jackson Ewell and Roldan came on at the same time. Peanut butter
Getting
and
the band back together.
Yep, the band's all back together. We had a Soy Ewell, and I'll stop there. And then we had also, and in my notes it goes, oh, Jackson Ewell and Roldan came in the 73rd minute. And then in all caps, and Hoppy. Matthew Hoppy came into this one as well. Realistically, Ty, this was a lot of Canada seemingly having the better of this game, and yet not that many valuable Canadian chances, really. Hard to say if the U.S. was or was not in control throughout this 90 minutes, but we'd get to the final whistle up 1. We would win. This is 3 up, 3 down, group stage. Winners are the USMNT. Ty, what's your first impressions?
In my opinion, the U.S. was not in control of this game for pretty much the entirety of it. And it led to a number of spots where Canada had reasonable numbers going up against a depleted and tired U.S. backline. And any number of those could have led to a goal. But I think the Canadian team felt the brunt of some of their missing talent on this occasion. When you think that Tajon Buchanan might be the 4th or 5th best guy on the team. And today he was the very best guy on the team. So I think against a better opponent, we would have been punished, but we weren't. Got through. This is what happens typically in the Gold Cup group stage. No matter how badly the US team plays, we rarely get punished. So I'm not thrilled. It does the job, but I don't think we should take anything from this in terms of the team being at a higher level than we thought, just because they ended up with 3 wins from these 3 games. 2 of them were very easy, and the one that was less easy, the opponent didn't quite grab their chance to punish us when we made mistakes.
It was pretty shaky. Back there. Why do you think that?
Yeah, that's the question, is where's the root cause of this?
Yeah.
And so for me, I am a strong believer that 2 strikers just doesn't cut it anymore in the modern game. And the reason for that is when you have 2 players who are dedicated to scoring, you don't have enough ability to interchange, build possession, and stop the opponent from their own progression in midfield and in defense. And in this game, I think you saw that in full effect, in my opinion. So my diagnosis of this situation is that, first of all, Zardes and DK, a little bit of a peanut butter and peanut butter situation, and didn't really play well together. They didn't really complement each other. They didn't draw any qualities out of the other that wouldn't have been there otherwise. But the fact that those 2 guys were up top waiting for service meant that we were unable to create the kind of combination play that you need to dictate and control the rhythm of the game. So it looked like we were down a man the whole game. And I think that's because of this 2-striker system.
Because we kind of were. Yeah, and it's worth noting at this juncture as well that both of those players have the exact same weakness, which is coming back into the midfield and interchanging. They're both not great at that.
Correct. And so, yeah, that seemed to me a kind of silly idea to begin with. But
I guarantee
you had felt that this was intentional from the start, that this was the inevitable response to what we saw in the last game.
I guarantee there was a GGG speech in the locker room where he laughed about how Zardes came on and scored at Worldy, and he just can't choose. I'm going to have to go with 2 up top. I guarantee that's how the discussion went.
Ridiculous how these decisions are made. But
that is how these decisions are made. And so let's say that is how the decision was made. Did anybody come out on top between DK and Zardes tonight? I mean, it's got to be DK. But,
no, I don't. I mean, how many times did either of them touch the ball? I feel like the two of them had the least touches of any players.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the stats, but they barely were able to contribute because the US just wasn't generating those kind of dynamic situations where they could actually apply their skill set. Zardes very limited skill set, DK less limited skill set, but they just had nothing to work with, and as you said, they're not really able to suspend that plan like you saw a Clint Dempsey do many times for the US, where if the game's not finding him, if the team's not performing up to the level necessary, he is able to just say, fuck it, I'm a 10 now, and find the ball at the center circle and make something happen and progress the game that way. So those two players were unable to do that, and that makes them a little bit more of a liability when you think about future top level games, where maybe even if we are just playing one striker, we will still see similar symptoms. The US not able to keep control in the midfield just because of talent reasons, right? So that would be the case for maybe a more versatile 9 like Sargent or Hoppy in place of those guys.
I think, yeah. I mean, speaking of, right, we're seeing the transformation of Hoppy into essentially an inverted winger, a tucked in winger of some kind.
And what a transformation.
And what a transformation it is. And why aren't we trying that with Josh Sargent? What is the deal? How is this guy not being tried? How do you try Hoppy at a new position, and yet you just slot Josh Sargent out there in the 9 game after game without goals? Like, try him once. I've been saying he's a 10.
I think the difference is that he was a very successful 9 for all of the youth teams. So it's a very tough transition where you go, well, we raised you for 10 years to play this role for this team, and it's not going well. So that would be a pretty momentous kind of shift to make for Josh Sargent, both tactically and also psychologically. But it feels like it must be done.
Let's try. Maybe let's try. Well, I mean, yeah. I want him as a 0.10, like how Royce plays at Dortmund.
Sure,
they have different play styles,
like a 9.5.
Positionally, a 9.5. Yeah. He'd be so good at that. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Josh Sargent. We're here to talk about USA versus Canada. Ty, why do you think we won this game? If not because it didn't feel like a dominant performance, but there is always the winner wins for a reason. You are on record as saying it doesn't make sense to say we did or did not deserve to lose or win a game. That the winner, the person who walks off the field with a winning number of goals deserved to win. That's how the game works.
Sure.
Ty,
that's how the game works,
about today? Why do you think the U.S. deserved to win? How did this happen?
So yeah, the goal comes from a reasonably dangerous situation. I think it's like a 4-on-6 or something, pretty standard attacking situation, where Kellen Acosta has the ball and he makes a move, and then he actually loses the ball, but the Canada player isn't able to secure it, and so Acosta takes it off him again and then sprays the ball out to Leggett. And what Leggett does that is really special and different and unique in this moment, both for the US team and in general, is he plays the ball first time. So he doesn't hem and haw. He doesn't try to get the perfect cross in. He just hits a ball, left-footed ball, perfectly splits the goalkeeper and the defense. And that kind of ball is always dangerous. It always gives players a chance to score. And Shaq Moore made an intelligent run. He was ready at the right place at the right time. So it was a great goal. and it came a little bit because of a Canada error, but it mostly came, I think, because of Leget's decisiveness, which we saw over and over throughout the course of the game. Over. So for me, the US was worth a goal in the game. You know, maybe they were worth half a goal or a goal. I don't think we were worth much more than that. And Canada, I feel like they you know, they weren't really able to put together lots of clear-cut chances you can remember with them, you know, hitting the crossbar and things like that. But they had the most sustained pressure of either team throughout the game. And so to me, I think the US won this game because Canada was unable to turn that pressure and turn that possession into clear-cut opportunities and eventually goals. And that's on them. And that's something that, you know, they'll be looking at with regret that they weren't able to accomplish. And that's something that we should definitely not be counting on future opponents to do the same.
It's sadly kind of a classic Canadian thing to do. Like all they have to do is get the draw against a pretty like middling US side on the night. They've got literally 90 minutes plus to get one goal against like a bunkering like C team US. And
pretty weak, yeah.
They just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So I feel for them.
It would be frustrating.
Or I feel for fans. Yeah, I feel for the fans of the.
Because the corollary to the deserve to win is the who's the better team. You know, and I think you would think, you know, if you had no idea who these players were, right, you would have thought that Canada has better talent than the US, and I think that's reasonably fair. Like we said going into this game, the rosters are quite close. There's a lot of teammates, a lot of players who have played at similar levels in MLS over periods of time. And, you know, guys like Buchanan, who would definitely be a part of the US team, if available, Kyle Larin as well. Kyle Larin better than either DK or Zardes at the moment. So lots of reasonable comparisons.
Kyle Larin and Io Akinola, who literally did play for us, was totally, you know.
That's right. And so
totally in the picture.
So yeah, as a Canada fan, I think you have you come away from this maybe thinking a little bit that they're in a good spot, that, you know, obviously this particular game didn't go their way, but this wasn't the most important performance for them to have. There will be future games against the US down the line where they really need to step up, and they should be able to do that.
Shouts to Io Akinola, by the way, for going off injured in this game. He got to start. Really, really sad that he did not get to have a more.
Yeah, you didn't get into the rhythm. Yeah.
We love you. We hope that it gets better. We hope that you're not out of the tournament or anything. Where, you know, I want to see Io Akinola have his day against the US, because I just think that's what rivalries are made of. I said coming into this game that I want to see another chapter of the US Canada, the Northern rivalry. The Northern rivalry.
Yeah, we hoped coming into the game that this would be a little chippier, and it really wasn't.
It felt like a dead rubber, which it was.
Yeah, which it was. So I think it was properly evaluated by the players. I would say that like in a way that game in Olympic qualifying against Mexico was not properly evaluated. The players went way too hard to win that Mexico game that was functionally irrelevant. And
so what if if what we're saying is we do want a meaningful rivalry here, aren't we also saying that we kind of want it to be a little irrational in this moment from Canada specifically? I don't think the US I don't think it's on the US to make this rivalry happen. It's on Canada to make fetch happen. You know, they need to come at us. They need to surprise us a bunch of times.
I agree.
They need to say, we are here and we don't like you. Yep. And we got Io and he's scoring
and we're
goals.
Better. We're better. Like, I think there has to be a little bit of those rivalries where you have to think, we're actually better.
Yeah.
Even when you know in your mind that that's not true, you have to kind of in your heart believe that that's true. As has been the case with US Mexico a lot.
For the duration of our lives, I'd say.
But I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned the irrelevance of this game. Why, in your opinion, is it irrelevant for us to avoid Mexico in the first knockout?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. It's a fantastic question.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I can't quite like nail down the logic of what I'm trying to say here, but the gist is that it's too confusing. if the US wins this game and then Mexico loses, we play Mexico right away. And so all for naught. It can't possibly be that your motivation to win this game is to avoid Mexico because you don't have control over what happens. Second of all, why would you want to avoid Mexico? Wouldn't you rather play a Mexico that's still warming up, that came into this tournament like trash, than to play a Mexico in the final after 6 wins and is like, after they've figured their shit out? Like, why not play Mexico now? Third of all, right, for winning the tournament, it makes just as, so my second of all is, if you want to win the tournament, it makes just as much sense to eliminate Mexico as early as possible. There's no reason why it's better to play them in the final. It doesn't make any sense. Third of all, we're not even trying to win this tournament. We're trying to evaluate players. So the opportunity to play Mexico in a competitive setting could be lost by taking the track that leaves us away from Mexico as long as possible. So it just, all these things, and I'm not saying we should try to play Mexico. I'm just saying that to say we need to win this game because we need to avoid Mexico just doesn't add up in my head. I cannot get the arithmetic to make any sense there.
Okay, that's a fantastic answer. So there's 2 branches of the scenario there. So in the scenario where you want to win the tournament, your primary goal is to win the tournament, as it is in most situations. In my opinion, it's worth it to kind of consider that factor as like one of your, maybe as a decision-making or tie-breaking situation. So it's like, how hard should we go? Or if it's the 80th minute and we're behind by a goal, how much do we fight to get back in the game? Risking injury, risking fatigue,
yellow card accumulation.
Yellow card accumulation. Absolutely. I think it's totally fair to consider in those situations because there is the potential that if you dodge the strong opponent, then that opponent might randomly get knocked out in an earlier round before you eventually have to reach them. So you might play a weaker team at a later stage because they got knocked out. So I think it makes sense, but I think in those situations, it's dramatically overplayed. And even if you consider this, the concept that this was a must win because we don't want to face Mexico is exactly the mentality that we have been railing on with this show. No, we want to play Mexico because we want to be better than Mexico. We don't want to avoid Mexico like scared children.
Yeah.
The whole goal of this sport is to compete at the highest level you possibly can. And in CONCACAF, that's Mexico. So we want to play Mexico as a part of winning the tournament.
Mexico is trying to avoid us?
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
Exactly.
No way.
Now, the second thing that you said about this being a training exercise, and we might actually lose out on the opportunity to play Mexico by thinking too hard about this, is amazing and completely true. So yeah, we should have actually thrown this game so that we played Mexico.
No, obviously not. But what I'll say is this, that I think what no one talks about enough is how important momentum is in a tournament. So when you have a dead rubber, and I feel like I've seen Germany do this like twice in World Cups, where they have a dead rubber in the group stage and they chillax on it, and then it bites them in the ass later because they lose momentum. That's unfair to Germany. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
We've seen that happen with many teams.
And someone comes in hot, takes it easy on that third game of the group stage, and then burns out. I think the number one reason to that this is an ought to win. Then the number one reason is because all games are a hope to win.
Yeah,
we should be trying to win games. There should be, and momentum does matter. So you want to rack up those wins and those good performances, and don't change your whole team up in the third game of a group stage because there's no,
exactly.
Whatever. Don't keep it all the same and competitive in order to avoid Mexico. Do what you do within the bounds that you do it, so that you can have the best team possible on the day and on the next day.
Exactly. I think it has to be so much simpler. And I believe it actually is simpler in the locker room and within the coaching staff and all that stuff. I think most of this is just spun by the media just so they have something to fill time with. And I think in Greg's eyes, he's just thinking, I'm just going to do my best to win every game. And, maybe yellow cards, injuries, things like that come into play as fringe considerations. Or you saw him like urging the team to get an extra goal against Martinique because it would have put us ahead in the goal difference with Canada. So, obviously he's aware of these things, but I think the MO just run it out there, and we're going to play our best, and maybe think of some of those things later on in the game.
Yeah.
But the thing that it reminds me of is like there's this attitude or approach to the coverage that I've been trying to like put my finger on what bothers me about it. But I think it's that after the roster choices that have made this so clearly a secondary priority for the federation, for the coverage to be all about like maximizing every percentage of value that we possibly can to win this tournament that we've already given up so many chances to win.
Yeah.
Like if we were that concerned about getting like a 2% better chance to win this fucking tournament, we would have brought better players.
Yeah. Straight up, dude.
So this clear, like we gotta settle, like this is not a tournament we're trying to win. So I would like the coverage to reflect that instead of just selling this idea to the public that like, no, this is the real US national team. This is a must-win situation. That's bullshit. So why can't we talk about like, look, this is not a must-win because we're not here to win. And here are the things that you should actually be looking out for instead of like, did Donovan Pines have a good back pass or whatever? Like there's so much more to talk about when it's actually put into the actual context of the decision-making that's happening that will lead into World Cup qualifying and future versions of this team. I'm afraid of people.
I agree with you 100%. You're afraid of people what now?
I'm afraid of people tuning into this and thinking because of the sort of gaslighting that this is the real US national team.
That's what happened.
I want it to be clear that this is a backup squad that we're using as a way to test so that like if that narrative was more prevalent, I feel like that might be more exciting for people than to think like, we still suck. We just beat Canada 1-0. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it looked bad. And it looked bad. In all of the 3 broadcasts we've seen, have you heard one mention of Pulisic, Dest, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, anything?
Nope, haven't heard those names.
That is a decision has been made. Do not.
A decision has been made.
These guys.
Exactly.
And that's a huge mistake.
And that's kind of what the pro forma methodology is, because you don't want to devalue the product that you're presenting by mentioning that there's a better product that is not on offer.
You're devaluing it by jerking everyone around and like acting like the value of this. There is value. It is interesting. You should tune in to see if any of these guys can make the real team. That's really fun. Side note, just once again, this is why we're streaming live on YouTube. If you're also frustrated by this during the games, we are having these conversations during the games. Okay, I won't say that again. Let's talk about, last episode I had said I'm fine I would even be fine, hypothetically, hyperbolically, I would even be fine if we saw 2 strikers. Just please give me 3 in the middle. And then we just immediately saw 2 strikers.
And kind of 3 in the middle.
But that's what I wanted to ask you about.
4, kind of 3.
What did we see in the middle? It was a Jimmy Sando situation.
Jimmy Sands out there balling.
So
this was the key sort of tactical point of the game from the US perspective. And I think looking back at the game, you can credit the US's success at frustrating Canada to this switch. I think it was successful in that. It definitely increased our defensive solidity, and I think we would have had a maybe tougher time repelling some of those attacks with a different shape. Now it did affect other things, but anyway.
Just clarify, what shape now?
So the idea was that it was a 5-man back line when we were off the ball. So when Canada had the ball, James Sands would drop deep between originally Zimmerman and Robinson, and then it was Pines and Robinson. And that would create a 5-man backline. And then when we were in possession, Sands would go into the midfield to make a 4-man backline with the 2 fullbacks pushing forward. So it was pretty like aggressive posture on offense, even though we ostensibly had 3 center backs. And that was great. It's sort of like a variant of the traditional number 6 Sergio Busquets kind of role, where the number 6 drops deep between the center backs in different situations to become a center back. And in this case, we saw it just kind of flipped, where James Sands was sort of first a center back and then also a midfielder at times. I think he probably spent more of his time at center back than at midfield. So that seemed to be like his default position. But it did give us a lot of this flexibility, and I'm fully for it. I think as long as it's an adaptation that can be done to like a standard 4-3-3 system, where it's, one player involved in like making a decision and then the rest of the team can react to that, I think that's a strong move. I just don't. I'm on record as being against the 5 in the back system, just because it necessitates a totally different way of looking at the game than most of these players are used to. But I think this is a variant that I can definitely live with, and I thought it was a positive kind of innovation from Greg.
Well, it's interesting you likened it to the Euro final during the game, and now that you talk me through it again, there are some similarities there. England came in with a back 3, which after scoring a goal early on just became a back 5 for the whole game, and then they lost, which we could have done. The problem with the back 3 is maybe, is for Ty, you were saying basically we're not used to it, and I get that. Okay. It's also that it just turns into a back 5 if you lose your guts. You know what I mean? It can easily just become a very regressive way of playing. I'm still a little unclear about how this midfield was running, because I did see Jimmy Sando, which is the only way I will ever refer to that human being again for the rest of my life. I love
James Sands.
James Sando. He did dribble into the midfield and then initiate attacks, which I think is really cool. Normally
I like that. Very positive.
Very positive. Normally the middle center back in a back 3 stays put, and the other 2 are a little bit more mobile. I would be very curious about how, if your center back is advancing the play, how are you running the offsides line? Who is doing that? So that's just neither here nor there. I don't know who would have the answer for me, but I'd be curious to know how that's operating.
And it asks so much. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It asks a lot. Yeah. The other thing that's a little confusing for me is we did have a midfield trio in addition to that. So did we end up with a diamond? Because it was Leggett, Acosta, and Busio. Busio seemed from the beginning of the game the most advanced of those. So we have like Leggett and Acosta doing a little shuttling, half space shuttling. And then we've got, I guess, Sands bopping in and Busio kind of like at the tip of that diamond, I suppose.
Right. And then on defense, it was a very flat three in the midfield. So Busio would come drop deep almost to like a normal 6 position. And you had the two wider players. So it was like very, very rigid and very solid on defense. And it looked difficult to penetrate. So I thought it was successful in that regard. But the real question is, James Sands, obviously not a top 3 center back.
Who's that?
James Sands. James Sando. The gentleman who played in the middle.
Yeah. Jimmy Sando. Got you.
He had a lot to do, and he is obviously not one of our top 3 center backs in the U.S. national team pool. And it makes you think, who else could possibly do that? Who might actually be one of our top 3 center backs? And it's not. I don't know. I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in John Brooks trying to push up into the midfield very frequently, or Aaron Long trying to push up into the midfield frequently.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's designed for a future Chris Richards, but it's not. He's not quite there.
Oh
yet.
God, yeah. I just thought, oh my God,
perfect.
That'd be incredible.
It's perfect.
Also, EPB would be great at this if EPB can get.
I haven't seen that man play other than in all touch videos for a million years.
It's been a while.
He only exists in
it's
all
tough
touch
to get.
videos.
Yeah, he only plays all touch videos. It's amazing. He just trots out there for 3 excellent minutes every game.
It's the only thing going on. All those people paid tickets just for him. So we saw a second look in this game as well. We saw the Roldan Hoppy dual 10
right.
Later in this game. By the way, shouts to Zimmerman as well for picking up an injury in this one. Better really soon. You got to do it. I can't.
It's not shouts for picking up an injury. It's shouts because of your injury.
Shouts to you.
Due to your
The
injury.
shouts are due to the injury. Dude, that was the sickest injury I've ever seen, bro. I was so fired.
No, Daryl DK's injury was fire.
Yeah, Daryl DK. We believe he injured himself in the flop. He got touched in the face, went down hard, and then was holding his shoulder the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was faking an eye injury or exaggerating an eye injury by going over and dislocating his shoulder.
That is the one and only thing that him and
Not good.
Neymar have in common now of their life experience.
Exactly.
Is they have both injured themselves on a flop.
Yes.
So we saw the second look. Man, hoppiness is the truth.
It is indeed.
What are we going to do with this guy? So he was losing the ball a lot, and I want to kind of give us a chance to speak to that. What is it that you see in Hoppy that kind of I guess outshines in some ways or lives in spite of? There's something beautiful about what's happening with him on the field, in spite of the fact that, yes, he did have 3 turnovers in a row in this game. And my question for you is, what is it? What do you see in this guy that's special? For the listeners who are like, I don't get it.
Yeah, so we use a term called sauce to describe this ineffable quality of players. And I would describe it as more of a mental quality than a physical quality. It's a willingness to push the limits of what is possible and to accept some risk, maybe that you look silly or that you lose the ball, but to every now and then create a moment of magic that unlocks a team and leads to a scoring chance. Mm-hmm. And so Christian Pulisic is the king of this. He is actually either at the top or near the top most seasons in all of Europe in how many successful take-ons he has. So he dribbles past more players than virtually anyone on the planet.
Yes.
He also loses the ball a lot. But the way soccer works is that attacking is a high risk, high reward proposition. It's totally okay if you mess up 9 times out of 10 if you score on the 10th time. Mm-hmm. That is a totally acceptable ratio. And many successful careers have been made on that ratio. So what Hoppy has is it's a little bit of audacity, and it's a little bit of skill, and it's a little bit of creativity, and it combines to him doing things that the defense is not predicting, that none of us watching the game would actually be predicting. And he often pulls them off, more often than you would expect. He pulls them off, and that it adds a level of dynamism to the team that is totally different. And it means that there are spots that look very standard and very controllable for the opponent that suddenly become huge problems because you have someone who's willing to try things that other players won't.
I think there's a game read thing happening with him. There's a tempo thing happening, a certain intensity. And for me, there's like a Thomas Mullerishness to his play where it's like,
totally.
it looks bizarre, sort of.
But he's so tall.
He's a big dude.
He's much taller than most guys with sauce. That's one.
Yeah, he's a very big guy. We both have the same Dominican barber, I think. Correct. That's neither here nor there. Popo.
Shouts to Popo.
Shouts
on
to
your
Popo.
Injury.
Sickest injury ever. But he has a certain like a game state awareness or an audacity, as you mentioned. He feels like a little bit of a roll of the dice every time.
Totally.
You know, you just want to know how this is going to play out. And what Muller does that I think Hoppy has the potential to do is read the chaos of a soccer game in a way that no one else can on the field. And he finds these, like Derek Jeter showing up at home plate, he just finds these moments where he is where he needs to be because of some sort of a creative analysis, a creative read of the game.
Right,
and
exactly.
At this moment in time, because I am honestly, trying to figure out what happiness is the truth means to me. And at this moment of time, I think for me, it's the ability to sort of turn it up, to see the game in a way that's a little different than the people around him, and to fucking go for it. Like the fact that this guy is willing to be played in situations that are out of his depth, and he plays with, you know, a bunch of spirit, a bunch of sauce, as we say, is a meaningful and, although not statistically quantifiable, a very real skill.
Right.
That this guy's exhibiting.
He's the only middle schooler who's willing to dance at the party.
That's right. That is correct.
He doesn't give a fuck. He's
going
to do
Give a
him.
fuck.
And it doesn't always work.
Yo,
it does not always
because
work.
Of
Let's
that,
be clear.
he got asked to prom like every year.
Every single year.
He just kept getting asked because he's got that vibe.
Got that sauce.
Got the right vibe.
And also just want to give a quick shout out to Tajon Buchanan, who also is
so
dripping with sauce.
Yeah, you were saying during the game, this guy's Europe ready. What makes you say that?
So there's something about the incisiveness of his movement. Mm-hmm. That's what was standing out to me during this game, is that he shifts the ball with crispness and with purpose in a way that you don't see most players in CONCACAF do. And the reason, this is a US focused game, so I don't really care that much, or this is a US focused show, so I don't care that much about Canada's youth development, but I do kind of care, because the more Canadians, especially MLS players, go over to Europe and have success, that has a knock-on effect for the US. And we've been talking about this burgeoning rivalry between the US and Canada, and that would be a very, very good thing for the US if it wasn't just like, yeah, every couple months we get to play Mexico, and that's a big game in CONCACAF. We have more big games in CONCACAF. That's profoundly good for the US.
Yeah, I'm squarely, this happened recently, I've squarely found myself in the position of, I'm at this point rooting for all of CONCACAF, because I have faith that we will come out on top of this whole thing, and that the better CONCACAF gets, the better it is for us. Let us know what you think. Would you rather have the US kind of repeat this era, but the previous eras, but kind of like take Mexico's place? Or would you rather have CONCACAF rise up, potentially cause the US some serious problems? Have it not be as easy as it once was for us.
That's right.
Maybe it's not clear that we're the best in this region, but is that worth it? Is that worth it to have the region, let's say, surpass the CONMEBOL region, sooner rather than later?
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I would much rather be the fourth best team in CONMEBOL than the second best team in CONCACAF. I feel like the part of the success of the CONMEBOL teams, I think that's the exact comparison I would want to make, because that's our next rung on the ladder, is that they play this qualification process that is freaking brutal. It's round robin against 9 other teams. It's 18 games, and you go to all of these different environments that are all tough in different ways. You have to go to La Bombonera, you have to go to the Maracanã, and you have to go to Bolivia, and you have to play at altitude in Ecuador. You have to, so it's all these like different little challenges, like mini games that you have to surpass in order to qualify out of CONCACAF.
Mario Party.
Exactly like Mario Party. And I feel like in CONCACAF, we have a lesser version of that. Like The Office is a very different, in Jamaica, their home stadium is a very different challenge than Azteca or San Pedro Sula. But I just feel like the ringer that those South American teams go through in order to get to major tournaments is a big reason why they do well. I mean, they're just battle tested, and then teams, they know each other so well. They've been through the trenches. They've, blood, sweat, and tears have been poured truly in order for them to make a big tournament. And, even the home games aren't always cushy in South America. So I think that's the level of intensity to the typical competition that we're looking for. And this kind of game, I hope in 10 years looks very different. Despite whatever factors of the tournament, things like that, is that a game like this should be more hotly contested, just out of pride, just out of rivalry and looking for top, bragging rights.
And a game like this should be in the public consciousness. I think Canada is absolutely is maybe only a few steps away from being a legitimate rival to us. perhaps
Of course.
already is, right? As skill
Yeah,
wise.
yeah.
But
No,
what's
I
missing
think can
is
A team versus A team, they can definitely beat us.
yeah, what's missing is the cultural context. You know, I played pickup today, and there was sort of this joke that went around of like, what are we just gonna play all day? Well, none of you guys have plans, and no one said anything. I waited. You know, they were all like, yeah, it's Sunday, like maybe we'll just play all day. And I was waiting for someone to say, it's USA Canada, guys. I'm not gonna play all day. I want to go watch USA Canada. No one said anything. I waited for long enough, and then I quietly said, "But what about USA Canada?" And you know, it came and went. No one gave a fuck. But I hope that's not true in 10 years.
Well, and I mean, no one gave a fuck because it's the Gold Cup, not because it was a dead rubber. People weren't saying, "Oh, I was gonna tune in," but
No, because they don't know. They just
because
fucking
they don't even
no
know
idea.
that it's happening.
No rate, nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, right. We look at like these different tiers of impact.
Yeah.
Like, and there's always like there's there's a very narrow band of things that like truly changes the performance on the field of the team. But there's the base of a pyramid. You know, it's like that the pyramid about racism, where it's like at the top is genocide, and at the bottom are like microaggressions that lead to thoughts, that lead to attitudes, lead to actions, that lead to genocide. You know, so it's not to equate those two things, but it's just to say that there's a directionality to all of this, and that's the warmer, fuzzier equivalent of that is when trying to have like cultural change, as we are with this national team, you have to have water cooler discussion. You have to have, you know, kids randomly knowing about when the US team is playing, and you have to have, you know, more just general visibility of these tournaments. And the fact that, you know, I don't know how it is in Kansas City, but when the US has played here in my neck of the woods in New Jersey, we played, you know, 20 minutes from my house. And if I wasn't a US fan, I would have no freaking idea that the national team of my country was playing 20 minutes from me, you know, and that's ridiculous. That I don't know. There's no single button that we can push, but there's very few other countries on earth where that's the case. And I hope that we're able to get there. Part of it is things like this show, you know, us doing this show, you all tuning in. It's amazing. It's amazing to chat with you on YouTube, on Twitter, and, you know, whenever we get to talk. And we genuinely appreciate it if you tell your friends about this show, not just because we want to reach more people, but because we know that every single person who gets in more and gets in deeper is another little brick in that general, you know, progress towards something spectacular in many years. And it's going to take all of us in some little way to contribute to the eventual success of this team.
Yes. This is consider it a case study for things that actually do matter. This is how we do, you know? This matters in a way that's, even though it sort of doesn't matter. I'm not sure if that was clear, but all right, Ty. Any last words? Any last words on USA versus Canada before we depart?
Well, I have not gotten my tournament mode on, really. These games have been, you know, calm and chill. So I'm excited to have an actual must win. And the definition is if you lose, you're out of the tournament. That's what a must win is.
It's a game that you have to win.
You have to win. So we are going to have a must win against, you know, Mexico if they lose, or whoever else it is in CONCACAF. It's going to be a good one. These Gold Cup knockout stages the intensity does ratchet up, and even with this, you know, makeshift U.S. team, I could feel the feelings coming for this game. So you'll probably see me, like, I'll start out calm. If you're on the YouTube, I'll be like, you know, normal, whatever, just hanging out. And then at some point I might gravitate to the corner. It might go off camera for a second. And then I might start doing my gyrations. I might get the spirit. We'll see. It depends if it's a good game or not. But I can't wait, because that feeling of tension is like what I live for.
It's the only time
watching this game.
It's the only time we feel truly alive. I will be perusing.
That's not far from the truth.
It's not far from the truth. I will be perusing, looking for funny pictures of Serginho Dest until it gets real. When my background stops changing, that's when you know I'm in it. I've been taken by the game. The game is me now. Can't wait,
taken
folks.
by the game.
Join us for all of it, guys.
Get on in here.
Guys. Oh man, totally down with fish food. Ben and Jerry's, please. Yes, thank you. Fish food, the flavor. I'm really into that.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's the best.
I was waiting for you to say something about fish. You fucking love fish food, don't you?
It's the best.
It's the best food. I also really like Americone Dream. Not necessarily better flavors than fish food, but wow, an incredible name. Americone Dream, fantastic. And I just tried out, because I couldn't find either of those and I was sad about it, I tried out Ben and Jerry's milk and cookies. Totally delicious. Ben and Jerry's, solid company. We are not getting paid for this.
We are not getting paid.
But I don't love any of that ice cream as much as I love the Nats.
Go boys.
Let's go, boys. Let's find
for
out
the
who we
country.
play. Oh, I love having the early game, by the way. We're done. It's
We're
like
good.
not that late at night. Now I'm going to go see what happens in the Mexico game. Good night, people.
Good night, people. I'm still going on YouTubes. Got some questions here.
Okay.
John says that he wants us to be the best in the region so that we can always be high in the FIFA rankings and have a at least a seed 2 in every World Cup. I'll just add every World Cup we qualify for. So what do you think? What if the region got more competitive, but not in time for us to have a better chance at making the World Cup? Would you risk not getting into a World Cup because we have a better region?
The region would have to get so much better for that risk to be real, because they expanded the pool. It's so
that
many.
Is true.
It's
but
so
I'm asking you in a theoretical,
in a theoretical
over
sense,
the past. Yeah.
I would not.
Are you
take
cool
that.
with it? Like that's the South American reality for Uruguay, Colombia,
right,
Ecuador.
Right.
Those teams, they're outside of even Argentina. Argentina almost missed last time. They had to get a win on the last day and get a little lucky. So, everybody's at risk of not qualifying. Would that be acceptable?
I would take. Are you saying U.S. doesn't qualify, or are you saying U.S. is at risk, serious risk of not qualifying?
At risk. Like instead of having a 90% chance, we have like a 70% chance.
I want the U.S. to be at risk of not qualifying. That is good. It is bad that
it's hard to say, but me too.
Yeah. It is bad that the U.S. feels not at risk. There doesn't feel like there's a lot of risk, and I consider that a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, would you give up a World Cup in order to have a stronger region? My answer is no. I want all the World Cups.
Right. If you know it's good, if you know it would happen, would you give up one World Cup so that
to then have a stronger region forever? And no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, would you relatedly? Would you give up every World Cup to win one World Cup?
Yes.
Yes, me too. Easy question. Ken says the only way to raise CONCACAF with the MLS, which I fully agree that MLS.
That's how it's happening. Yeah, that's totally how it's happening.
Yeah. And MLS's stated mission is to become a top tier soccer league, which appears to not just be lip service. They're genuinely trying.
It's going to happen.
The question is how much that will definitely raise up CONCACAF. I wonder how much it will raise the Nats. It's interesting.
It raises everyone equally. The Nats are on their own. You got to be better than the other teams with the pool, but MLS is helping everyone.
Right. Well, like the rise of the Premier League until recently hasn't paid dividends for England. And when Serie A was the top team, I don't think, it's like the league and the national team move somewhat independently. So.
Somewhat. But I think the MLS is more independent. The MLS is more separate from the U.S. national team than is any of the leagues that you just mentioned, I think.
You think so? I think it's more close. There's more like joint interests there.
Well, I think I know what you mean when you say that, but I think that the MLS getting better helps Mexico, it helps Canada, it helps all of the CONCACAF region teams in ways that in exactly equally to how much it helps the player pool for the U.S. Whereas Serie A, Bundesliga, Premier League, these are disproportionately helping their own nations to
Interesting.
grow.
Fly High says Hoppy needs to play dual striker with DK because of his technical ability. Love it.
Whose technical ability?
I want to see Hoppy and DK play together a lot. I think that's a
I like the
that's a
Hoppy
match
DK.
made in heaven.
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird. It's weird and it's funny, and I like it. It's great entertainment.
Yeah, it's like a salted pretzel and a caramel core.
It's like Ben and Jerry's flavor.
Yeah. And then John, finally, last comment. Why do you guys not podcast as much anymore? You used to be the top dogs with Scuffed and TSS. What do you think, Clayton?
We podcast more than we used to. What the fuck are you talking about? We're going so ridiculously hard.
No, John. I think we're just not very good at telling everyone when we've podcasted. That's our issue. Is that we're podding like motherfuckers here, but
we are going so
I need to get the word out a little more.
Does he mean during COVID? We did
take a break, yeah,
more than everyone else during COVID.
That's true. Because the Nats took a lot longer to come back. Yeah, that's true. But John, and
also I gotta say, John, never the top dogs with Scuffed and Total Soccer. that never happened.
I think he's just referring to frequency. But I think what I want to say to you, John, is thank you for caring.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because we love to bring you unique Nats coverage, and it means a lot that you would ask that question to me. So I appreciate you putting some pressure on us to keep the volume up, and we love you.
We do appreciate that. We love that the region of U.S. soccer podcasting is getting stronger. And
That's
I'm
right.
willing to accept this pressure. I want this pressure.
Oh, okay,
John. The pressure.
John is explaining that. Yeah, we had a year break, so he stopped checking. Fair enough. We did some retro pods, but it was a long break.
Yeah. Do we need to really you need to take a year off, John? We didn't stop for a year, but we're glad you're back. We're glad you're back,
here.
my bro.
We're glad you're here,
and we love and appreciate you very much. We're so glad you're back. Please tell a friend.
And yeah, if you see us stop for a year, call my family.
Yeah,
and make sure that I'm okay.
If we stop for a year and the U.S. has not yet won a World Cup, if those two things are both true, there's a serious problem.
Yeah, there's like a car accident or something.
Something happened.
Yeah,
and we need help.
We need to write instructions in our will for if this happens on our way to Mexico City for the qualifier in March. If it's like a manifest situation. We show up and the US did win the World Cup like years ago.
Oh my God.
It's a TV show where
how sad that is. My version of hell is doing this podcast.
It's also my version of hell.
Is doing this podcast for all of my ripest years, and then later finding out, in fact, that they did win the World Cup and I missed it. Oh my God. Can't.
That would be totally brutal. That's a nightmare.
Wow.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but they replayed Russia when we were in lockdown.
Yeah, we just we took a 3-week break, John.
We took a 3-week break, John. No, we're coming thick and fast. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes,
all that.
Anywhere.
All right.
And we will be trying to collab, John. Thank you for mentioning that. We've been discussing this.
Yes,
internally.
We have been. I am on a mission. This will not make the feed. Is this going to remain on YouTube forever?
This is going to remain on YouTube forever. So hold that.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
We're doing our best. We're doing our best.
We're doing what we can do.
And you are helping us. So thank you very much for being here and for your likes and for your comments. It means a lot. And thank you. Let's go Nats.
Let's go Nats.
We'll see you next weekend for this quarter.